Yeah,
You
I
couldn't.
can't imagine a rugby player counting penne noodles.
No, no,
Maybe
no, no,
maybe
no.
by the shovel.
Yeah, correct. So that was a bit of, I'm like, huh, he has a life I don't. And, I started to see a lot of disordered patterns of behavior, like I had my fat closet and my skinny closet.
What is
I
that?
had like the closet whenever I wasn't competing and I wasn't getting ready for shows, I would put on weight, and then that's the closet that the clothes that I would wear.
Oh, there
And
was that much of a deviation?
oh yes, oh
Wow.
yeah, yes, and there is the
Matt
mental.
and I call that before lunch and after lunch. I don't think that
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan, alongside my partner, the professor, Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lu?
very special guest today, Mr. Meehan, Ms. Nathalia Melo, former Ms. Olympia. Welcome to the podcast, Nathalia.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm very excited, especially
Obrigado,
after
obrigado.
look at you, all fluent and stuff, and like especially that we realize that we have a lot of people that we know in common. That's fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
So we love the parallel paths of athleticism, professional athletes, and entrepreneurship. There is a kindred spirit. What do you think that spirit is?
Like everything fitness, you like is not overnight. The same way that it's not in entrepreneurship, the same way that it's not in finances. You have to have the discipline and the patience to wait for things to get better. You have to do the boring work. Like anybody that goes into the entrepreneurship with the expectation that every day is going to be so much fun and I'm going to crush it and I'm going to do all the things that are like
Bullshit.
correct, accurate. And it's the same thing. I feel like in fitness, people are always waiting for the next shiny object thing. And having a business and being in fitness for 27 years, we know that the best work comes from the boring work done consistently. And I think that that's where there are a lot of parallels between entrepreneurship and finance and fitness. Whenever you succeed in fitness, I think that it builds that muscle, that patience muscle, that resilience muscle, the discipline muscle into the other areas of life, such as finance and entrepreneurship.
So how did you get started in bodybuilding and fitness? Tell us about the journey.
That's such a great question. So I, as you guys can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from Brazil. I moved to Brazil. I was a dropout of law school, actually. Came to the US with $300 to my name. And I lived in a place covered in cockroaches. It was disgusting. I had to put a Ziploc bag on my toothbrush so the cockroaches wouldn't crawl on it. It was like gross, gross. Anyway, so then, started picking up, I cleaned restaurants. I do whatever I could to make money. And then I started working in a bar. I started bartending. And then the lifestyle started to catch up with me. You realize that you're getting drunk 7 days a week because the days that you're not working, you're quote unquote promoting. and I had a little bit of a come to Jesus moment with myself as I looked around, and I'm like, if I don't do something with my life, I'm gonna end up like all these people that I look at them and I feel sorry for them. So it was kind of like the fork on the road moment for me. I had always been into fitness, started going to the gym when I was 14. And in the gym that I was going to, people were talking about competing and things like that. And I didn't, and it's funny because I never even liked the physique. For me, it was more about the challenge.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I begun. And, I won all the shows that I did. And I got very fortunate that I was in the right place at the right time. And, after my first show, I started getting published in big magazines such as Muscle and Fitness, Flex magazine, which at the time, I'm old guys. So at the time it was the thing. There was like no social media. So that's kind of how it took off. And after winning the Olympia, I saw a big opportunity there. There weren't a lot of people with the ranking that I had, like Olympia being the biggest bodybuilding competition in the world, there weren't a lot of women like going out there and doing seminars, talking to, fitness professionals and people about health and fitness. You'd see a lot of males, but not a lot of females.
Mhm.
And I'm like, So that's kind of the route that I went to with the public speaking and teaching other fitness professionals and like general population on health and fitness. And I did that in 30, 40 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference from working out just, to stay in shape and doing competition, right? And working out for competition. What are some of the main differences that you have to do?
The intensity and the extremes in which you have to go to, especially at the time in which I did, there was still a lot of bro culture in the bodybuilding industry. There is still a lot of it now. But there is a lot of like bro culture, like very tribal rules, like you'd question something. Why is this done this way? Oh, because it's always been done this way, even though now in hindsight it's fucking stupid. I'm like, what was I thinking? So there is a lot of tribalism in that area of fitness. But I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I connected with a lot of cool people,
Mhm.
but I think that people are getting into it for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
Like they go into it thinking that they're going to be healthy. I'm like, there is like competing is the farthest thing from healthy. Like there is nothing healthy about it.
Nathalia,
Like,
let's do a deep dive here because this whole I work hard. Working out. Let's do a deep dive. 1 month before you were crowned Ms. Olympia, tell us what your daily regime was like leading up to it.
You're cute.
My wife seems to think so from time to time.
So, and one thing that I want to rephrase this is like, just because I did that, it doesn't mean that one is the right way. And two, I would recommend anybody to do it.
Sure.
That's actually why I went the direction that I went with my coaching as a coach, is because I saw the fuckery that it was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Look, in anything that you do at an extreme, there is a little bit of Kool-Aid being drunk. So no one's here to judge you. We're all about, look, sometimes you just want to win because you want to win, right? So it's not about right or wrong. Like, look, Matt and I want to grow our business, not because we want to become wonderful evangelists of small business lending, but we want to make money.
No, 100%. But I like to rephrase this because a lot of times I've talked about it and people took it the bite size and were like, oh my goodness, in order for you to be in shape, you need to do cardio 4 hours a day. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said. So that's why I'm rephrasing it. But anyway, at the time, what I was doing 3 to 4 hours of cardio a day and then training for another hour and a half. So I was dedicating about 5 to 6 hours.
So cardio, is that bike riding? Is that running? Is it?
Oh, I was running at the time.
Okay.
It was awful. And then the calories were very, very restricted. Like when I tell you, you're measuring every little thing, every iota of whatever it is that you eat. Your social life for me, was non-existent because I didn't even want to be in spaces that would, cause me to feel tempted. So I just didn't leave the house. And I was bartending at the time as well.
Oh, wow.
So dealing with, I was bartending about 3 days before I won the Olympia because, again, competing doesn't pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
So how does one earn an income as a bodybuilder?
A lot of times is through sponsorships.
Okay.
Because again, you need, like, my husband is a professional rugby player, kind of like I was telling you guys before we started. So, and he played for clubs for 15 years. He played for his country. And that was a little bit of my come to Jesus moment, is when I realized that he got paid to train. Like whether he played or he didn't play, if you were injured, he still got paid.
Yeah.
I didn't. If I didn't win, I didn't get paid. And it was always very dependent to contracts with supplement companies, which, like the contracts are worth nothing because the moment that they want to drop you, they're just like, later. So and then it's capitalizing on your name, now I think it's become a lot, um not easier, because it never is easy, but there are a lot more opportunities now with social media, with promotions for brands and things like that, which at the
Sure,
time that I was
that makes
competing,
sense.
it wasn't something that was very, it wasn't a thing. So at the time, it was either with a deal with supplement companies. None of the magazine work that I've done, I ever got paid. And that's another Delulu thing that people have. It's like, oh, you're in the magazine, people are making bank. No, you almost like lose money to do those, because you have to take time off from work.
Hmm.
So after you were done competing, you decided you're going to go out and you're going to be a coach, right? So tell us what
Yeah.
the program looks like now and who you work with.
So the transition kind of piggybacks perfectly there. It was that I started dating my husband, and again, kind of drinking the Kool-Aid. Before, that was the only environment that I was in with other competitors. So I looked around and everybody did what I did, and I'm like, that's normal. Like counting 6 penne noodles and putting inside a Ziploc bag because that's your meal. It's totally normal because everybody else around me was doing it. Then I started dating my husband, who was also a professional athlete, but he had a life. The moment he walked out of the pitch,
Yeah, I can't imagine a rugby player counting penne noodles.
no,
Maybe by the shovel.
Yeah, correct. So that was a bit of, I'm like, he has a life, I don't. And, I started to see a lot of disordered patterns of behavior, like I had my fat closet and my skinny closet.
What is
I
that?
had like the closet whenever I wasn't competing and I wasn't getting ready for shows, I would put on weight, and then that's the closet the clothes that I would wear.
Oh, there
And
was that much of a deviation?
oh yes, oh
Wow.
yeah, yes. And there is the mental.
Matt and I call that before lunch and after lunch. I don't think that.
And then there is also like the mind fuck, like you don't want to be in photos. You don't want to go to restaurants because you start panicking that anything that you eat is going to make you blow up.
How
And
about socializing? Like if the three of us went out for a drink with your husband and we order a glass of wine, were you that disciplined where you would forego the glass of wine?
but that's not like, and that's, I think that's a very good question, and that's where I think that we get lost in the sauce with the idea of discipline. Because is it discipline or is it disordered eating?
Hmm.
It's a very fine line. And that's the thing that I was justifying a lot of my disordered eating patterns by calling it discipline, when slowly I started to realize that it was affecting like my life. I was, I would binge and then I would go to the gym and do extra cardio because I thought that would cancel out. But that is no way to live. And then when it hit me was when I had my kids. I had 2 kids within 14 months.
Oh, I believe that's called
Yes,
Irish twins, right?
almost. I missed that by like a month and 2 weeks.
Your husband's
Uh,
Irish, right?
yes.
I'm sure he had some sort of influence there.
Yeah, and yeah, that's funny. And that was like my come to Jesus moment the second time, because I was like, holy shit, like how am I going to take care of 2 small kids and spend 5 hours in the gym? Like I didn't have enough hours in the day, and I wanted to have an ice cream with my kids. And that's really how my coaching now took the shape that it has. I've never worked with competitors because I know how much it messed me up with my relationship with food, and with not wanting to take photos. There are like many places that we went that I don't have photos because I felt embarrassed of taking photos of myself.
Oh, really? So you
Oh
had it to an
yes,
extreme. So you had like
yes.
ah.
Yeah, and this is prolific, and this is the thing that I think it's important for me to talk about, because this is not something that just somebody who competes experience. I speak with women every single day, and 9.5 out of 10 women experience this.
It's body dysmorphia, right?
To an extent, yes, it is body dysmorphia, but now people are trying to, call it, let's be body positive. And then you have all these women that continue to be unhappy with how they look, but then they think that if they tell themselves enough that they love themselves, things are going to change. But now what they do is like, okay, I'm just going to wear baggy clothes and pretend that it's fine. rather than taking action. So that's a big thing about what we do is like, no, it's okay. Like you're entitled to feel the way that you feel. And you don't have to shy away from acknowledging that something has to change, but how can we change that?
So is the key moderation?
There are a lot of things. Moderation, sure, but like I think that many times we get so used with labeling things like moderation, balance, but what does this look like in practice? And I think that is the piece of the puzzle that is being missed. What does this look like in practice? Because you have all these, quote unquote fitness professionals screaming from the rooftops all these different rules without context because they want attention on their social media platform. But, for example, let's say that you get a woman who works in law. We work with a lot of people in finance and in law.
Okay.
Big law. These women are working like 60, 70 hours a week?
Probably more if you consider commuting and then
Right.
maybe some work from home. So yeah, so there's not a lot of time left over in a 168-hour week.
Right. Then now let's add to these women about 2 kids each. Like they have 2 kids. So they're working 65 hours a week. They have 2 kids. And then they go on the internet and then you have the fuck faces on the internet. Okay, we need to make sure that everything that we eat is perfectly cooked and it needs to be organic, picked up from the top of the Himalayas, sprinkled with a salt that has the blood of a virgin. What time are they going to do all that? So I feel like we're creating so much complication and so much friction that women who have so much on their plate, they're like, I'm just not going to fucking do it. Because I already have these 65 hours that I have to work, these damn kids that I have to take to practice and I have to pick up from school and I got to feed them. What time? And then you have, you need to work out 2 hours a day because anything less than that, what time? So I think that, yes, moderation, but what does this look like in practice?
So I guess essentially you help people design the lifestyle to where it fits into where they can do it. Find 45 minutes here. We can find 45 minutes there, right? Going to the gym is, as long as you stay consistent, you actually feel good. I mean, I do after I go to the gym. I'm just not very consistent. But once I get started and I get past like 30 days, then I start feeling good again and I keep going. But it's more with, and I can tell you straight from my wife too, PTO meetings, working all day, going to cheer, going to basketball. It's like, what are we doing? Let's order Uber Eats. How are we going to feed the kids? We don't plan out in advance enough.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head because I'm in the weeds too. I have to, we moved to Texas from Ireland. We have zero family help, like none, nada. Yeah. It's just my husband and I with an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old. My kids are in club sports. Mm-hmm. So our weekends are consumed by birthday parties and practices. Like we literally don't even know where we're going and where we're coming from. So I get it. I am in the trenches with that.
Yeah, there's no pressure on those 2 kids having professional.
So you guys lived in Ireland with the family before you moved to Dallas?
Yeah, my kids were born there.
How was the transition from Ireland to Dallas, right? Where in Ireland were you guys?
We were in Northern Ireland.
In Northern Ireland? I mean, that's got to be, when I was in Ireland, like there's small towns out there. You don't have Uber Eats in these towns, right?
No.
So what was the workout culture like or the health culture like out there?
It exists, but you also have to take into account that it is the part that I was in is a much more conservative area. So even like the clothing is not as revealing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things that we need to take into account. There is a good culture, but it wouldn't be like if you go to Miami.
Okay.
Or if you go like Dallas also has a very good fitness community. Mm-hmm. But it's growing. And I think that I also wouldn't be the best person to speak so much on it because my husband, like I said, was a professional athlete. So that's the environment that we were around. So there is a little bit of a skewed perception, but people are very active in other ways. Like there is a lot of golf.
Okay.
Lots of golf, lots of
I'm
golf,
sure.
lots of green.
What about food wise? What differences do you see in food from overseas to here? The quality of it.
I think that we get so lost in the sauce with thinking that the problem is the quality of the food, that we forget one very fundamental thing between Europe and America. That is, one, the amount that you walk,
Mm-hmm.
and two, the portion sizes.
Yeah.
So, you open social media and there is a lot of conversations around, because it's the quality of the food. Anybody that has gone to any European country, tell me how many steps you got in a day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is not something like here, whenever I'm home, like in Dallas, you look at something in the map and it's like, oh no, it's right across the street. The street is like 3 highways with 7 lanes each. Like if you try to cross that, you're dead. So you have to drive everywhere.
Yeah. So I live in Orlando now, but I grew up in New York. Luigi was in New York too. Lou, you just moved out of the city into Long Island, but I guarantee you have a lot less steps every day. We used to walk all over in Manhattan.
Yeah. I got to tell you, it never bothered me. And walking never bothered me. It was always fun, but it was part of the culture, right? You run an errand, you have a meeting. And also, Matt and I, when we met, we were downtown in the valleys of the financial district. So you never walked to a meeting because it was impractical. You never drove to a meeting. You'd walk 5 blocks, 6 blocks, and you met. So yes, you're much more active. But I think you can incorporate that into your life. Like I live 2 miles from my office, right? So I bought a little hybrid bike and I'll ride the bike as long as it's not too hot or too cold. I'll ride the bike. On a nice day, I'll walk. But when it gets too cold, you're in the car. There's no option.
I think that and to kind of piggyback on that, I feel like right now the problem that we're having is an overcomplication of things that are fundamentally not that complicated. And that people are focusing too much on what is outside of themselves and on the things and the gadgets. And, we have a watch that tells us how many, quote, calories we burn. But just as a side note, those things can be up to 97% inaccurate. There is plenty of research on that. And then we have another thing that tells us if we slept well. And then we have another thing that tells us if we have, if we're recovered. But on the same breath, we want to be the people that listen to our bodies. Like these are it's a very paradoxical idea and very polar opposites, because we have all these devices to tell us how we feel. And we think that we need, the data from this, the data from that. And it becomes a distraction from doing the thing that is needed to be done in a consistent fashion.
Yeah, you tell the average American child or teenager, point me to the direction north. He or she will struggle to do it. I think we've lost track with our nature.
I agree with that 100%. And that's what I'm seeing also in the fitness space, because you have the glucose monitor, which, as a side note for anybody listening, is monumentally useless for someone who is not diabetic. There is zero function.
I seen that they have actually, I think we had one of the founders on our podcast for one of them
useless.
A while back. It's just it's like, it looks weird when people walk around with them on. I'm like, what are you doing?
And the thing is that, okay, it gives you data. It gives you data that you already know. Whenever you eat, your blood glucose is going to go up. Mm-hmm. All right. Genius. What do you do with that data? You just become we're just becoming a overdated bunch of people that are over analyzing, and then we're freezing whenever it comes time to take action. And that's a big part of what we do. It's like removing all the noise, removing all the bullshit, and incorporating a lot of the emotional and behavior piece of the puzzle, because these women that we're working with, they're high achievers, they're perfectionists. So in their mind, it's like, if I cannot be perfect, what is the point of doing it? And then you're like, okay, great. So when is the quote unquote perfect time? Well, because next week I'm traveling because I have a meeting. And then the month after that, I have a conference. And I'm like, right. So every day you're like, you travel every week. Your kids have sports every
On
weekend.
that subject, give the audience some tips, because I know there's a lot of audience members that are listening right now that have to travel a lot for work. So give us some tips on how you could stay active when you're going to a business meeting or a conference or an expo, but you're in a hotel room and then the airplane, then the restaurant. So give us some tips. I'm sure you have some brilliant insights.
Several. I think that the tips start even before you get to the event, because people already have that association that the moment that they are traveling, it's like, what's the point? And then you keep on being on that all or nothing cycle that it never stops. And that's a big part of the behavior change that we need to work on. And there is that constant wait for the perfect time. Oh, when is it that I'm going to be perfect? I don't know, man. I've been an adult for a minute. Well, that's debatable, but for a minute. But and I can't remember the last time that it was like, there is nothing going on. Oh my God, like nothing. I'm probably forgetting something. So the first step is to find a routine that allows you to stay consistent, whether the world is ending and your kids have 75 different activities and you have a trip, or if there is nothing going on. Because the moment that your strategy only works when all these stars are aligned, you are setting yourself up for failure. So there needs to be an honest conversation with yourself that, maybe ideally speaking, you would love to be in the gym 5 days a week, but it is, for this season of life, is it a feasible goal? Maybe not. So how about we commit to 3 days a week that you know that you can be consistent with, that then whether you're home or whether you're traveling, you can be 100% with that.
I like it.
So these I think these are the biggest pieces. And this idea that every workout is going to be the best workout that you ever had, and if you do a workout in a hotel gym, it's going to suck. So what's the point? It's not about that one workout being good or bad. It's about the messaging that you're sending to yourself, that you are someone who is committed and who is willing to do something even when things are not perfect. It's more of a behavioral message to self rather than a physiological result that you're going to get from it. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. So you need to decide on what you're going to do and then just commit and go do it. Just take action, right?
Perfect.
Even if the workout's not that great, at least you went to the gym today and you got it done. You can probably feel better after you get out of there.
100%. And
I sit in my car for 10 minutes before I go into the gym every day, talking myself into
going
into the gym. I'm here.
Just do it.
I'm here. I just got to get in.
Just do it. And another thing as well is like, can you get to a hotel? Like, can you ensure that you're staying in a hotel that has some kind of fitness center, any kind? It doesn't have and again, it's a crappy one. It's something. Even if you go there and you walk on the treadmill, like you do a few sprints for 5 minutes and then you do a few, a little circuit workout for another 10 minutes, call it a day, 15 minutes, done. It's more about because where a lot of people are getting lost in the sauce is that they're losing confidence in themselves, because they make these big promises that they're going to be able to stay consistent 5-6 days a week, and then they don't follow through with it because it's not their reality. And then they start being, see, I suck. I can be consistent with this. There is no way this isn't for me. And then you start to become discouraged and then you quit.
Yep. I know that vicious cycle.
Right. Right. And whenever we're talking about fitness and health and wellness, there is no deadline. The deadline is literally the coffin. So how can we ensure that we're doing something that allows us to stay consistent and push that coffin as far away as possible?
Yeah, I like the way you phrase that and the way you put it. There is no deadline.
There isn't. And that's the other thing as well, that we are overcomplicating. You open social media and then there is like, everybody, you need to get 8 hours of sleep, because if you don't, you suck and it's going to be terrible for you. And it's like, perfect universe. Yes, it's great if you can get 8 hours sleep, but how the hell am I going to tell this to the example, someone that works 65 hours a week, has a bunch of kids, is meeting deadlines? She's going to be like, I can get 8 hours, so I'm not going to do anything at all. So instead of like imposing this sometimes impossible standards, to people, why don't we work with what they have? Okay, maybe you cannot get the 8 hours. So maybe instead of having this crazy workout in the morning, we have that. And then you just do something like 15 minutes rather than 30.
Just get up and go, decide, commit, take action. Nathalia, thank you so much for being here. We want to be respectful of your time. Can you tell the audience where they can find you and how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. I am on social media, on Instagram. Nathalia Melo Fit is my Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a podcast as well. It's called Unfiltered Fit Life Podcast. And you know, we help women who are busy, who have been trying to to figure it out on their own. They are finding out that the things that worked before no longer work, and they don't know where to go from there. We work with a lot of, you know, majority of our ladies are working in the corporate ladder, in law. So we're very used to that busy lifestyle, and it's the people that I like to work with.
Hey, Matt, can I take the last question on this episode, buddy?
You got it, pal.
Nathalia, you're working out and you have 90 minutes to spare, okay? But you need a companion while you're working out. Do you watch your husband's rugby highlights from his illustrious career, or do you rewatch the 1994 Brazil-Italy World Cup final?
Ooh, that one that Baggio kicked the penalty kick and missed it. Oh, I was young when that happened, but I remember that like it's stamped in my brain. That's a tough one. Well, I love my husband, but I was there for all his games, so I'll rewatch the 94 World Cup.
That's awesome. Everybody, that's a wrap on the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Let's go!